right, Shabbat Shalom. When I was a kid, I loved Pinocchio. When was the last time you watched Pinocchio? So I'll refresh your memory. Rabbi Joe, do you know Pinocchio? Oh, we lost you. Okay. All right. Jay, do you know Pinocchio? Have you watched Pinocchio recently? No, yeah, I think it's from the 1940s. It's almost as old as the Ten Commandments. But if you remember, Geppetto is a wood carver, and he has lots of wooden creations in his workshop. And he has a puppet named Pinocchio. And Geppetto makes a wish upon a star that Pinocchio could become a real boy. And there's a fairy that brings Pinocchio to life, but to become a real boy, Pinocchio doesn't just need to walk and talk, he needs a conscience. And so he meets Jiminy Cricket, who becomes his conscience. He becomes the voice in his head that teaches him right from wrong. Because to be human, to be made in the image of God, is to have a voice in your head that compels you to do the right thing. Even when it's not the easy thing or the fun thing, even when we don't listen to that voice, we all have that voice of conscience in our heads. And when Moses finds himself at the top of the mountain, the first set of tablets is written by God. But Moses shatters those tablets, and the Torah says that God told him, I carved the first set, the second set you're carving yourself. How does Moses know what to carve into the tablets when he's all on his own? He knows we can't always hear the voice of God, but we can hear the voice of conscience. And so when it says in the Torah, God spoke to Moses, it may not be that simple. It may be like Jiminy Cricket. God is the voice in our head that compels us to say, I know you want to protect your friend to get them out of trouble, but thou shalt not bear false witness. I know you want that Tesla that warms up before you get in the car, but thou shalt not covet. And I know it's not always easy, but thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother. I want to stop there and I want to tell you, everything I've said so far was pretty much verbatim my Bar Mitzvah speech. Okay? Today is the 20th anniversary of my Bar Mitzvah. You can do the math. All right. And I talked about this. God is not some man in the sky. God is the voice of conscience. Jiminy Cricket. And you know what? They bought it, in the words of Ferris Bueller. Part of being Jewish is whether you're 13 or you're 33 or you're 93, part of being Jewish is figuring out how to connect with tradition in ways that make sense to us. And one of the things that makes this really, really hard is that we speak and we think in a Christian language. Did you know that English was developed by non-Jewish people? And so when we translate things into English from Hebrew, we lose some of the original meaning. And I think as Jews who speak English, there are concepts that we struggle to relate to until we hear what they actually mean in Hebrew. For example, in English, to pray means to beg. They took the French and the Latin words for beg, and they came up with the word prayer. In Hebrew, to pray, lehit palel, tfilah, means to self-evaluate, to assess myself. How am I behaving? How does my behavior measure up to the values in this book? The whole question of who do you pray to is a non-Jewish question. You understand? You with me? The word sanctuary means refuge. It's a place to hide from the world. The Hebrew word for where we pray is Beit Knesset. It means gathering place. It's where we come to get together and connect with people. That is why every Jewish sanctuary has windows, even if those windows go to the hallway, right? Because what we learn in here has to connect with what we do out there when we leave. You have time for one more? Can I give you one more? Okay. There is a reason when we give to others, we call it tzedakah and not charity. Charity means love of humankind, volunteerism, giving out of love. Tzedakah means justice, balancing the scales of injustice. Charity means giving because you feel like it. Tzedakah means giving because it is unjust to look away from suffering. And that brings us to the Haftorah. In this reading, we have our classic statement from the Kedusha, Isaiah's vision of the angels at God's throne, saying, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot. In English, holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. What in the heck does that mean? I have no idea what that means. I need a translation. Holy in English comes from a word that means pure, something pure and spotless, untouchable, and deified. As English speakers, that's what we think holy is because it's Christian. Kadosh in Hebrew means unique, distinct, different from everybody else. Not pure, not untouchable. It means unwavering from our unique role. That is why on Shabbat we say Kiddush. We'll discuss. Kiddush is a blessing that says this day is different from the rest of the week. Can we agree on that? Yeah, okay. What the Haftorah explains is, just like God is holy and unique in the heavens, we as Jews need to be holy and unique on earth. It's not a birthright as much as a challenge. To be holy like God means to be different from the other nations of the world. To receive the Ten Commandments, as we read in the Torah today, means we have a different kind of conscience from the other peoples of the world. We have a still small voice in our head that says, when a person is suffering, it is unjust to look away. There are times when the mainstream is going to say, we can't talk about supporting Israel because it's too political. Or, as we heard earlier, we can't stand up for anti-Semitism because we don't want to wade into politics. Or we can't talk about injustice that's being suffered in the United States because it's political. And these are moments where we need to say, we're not going to be mainstream. Because to be holy means to be different. To be holy means when other religions pray, we do tefillah. We evaluate ourselves on how well we are caring for those in need. To be holy means when others give based on how they feel, we give because to live in a world of poverty means there is something that needs fixing in the world. And to be human, to be made in the image of God, is to have a voice in your head that tells you there's right and there's wrong, and even if ignoring that voice becomes mainstream, I'm still going to listen. Shabbat Shalom.